Good afternoon, everybody. Thought I'd make a mention of the state of the New York Mets as next week spring training games are about to be played in Port St. Lucie. Uh, the Mets also the power rankings. They MLB has them ranked fifth. Only the Dodgers, Padres, Yankees, and Braves are ahead of the New York Mets. And boy, oh boy, would I love it if we took down all those teams later on in the season. It's particularly the Yankees and particularly the Braves. Have nothing really against the Padres. Hopefully we face them in the playoffs and beat them. The Dodgers, outside of the Trevor Bauer fiasco, and I'm not a fan of Bauer at all. I think he's a jerk. I have nothing against the Dodgers in of himself. I just don't like Trevor Bauer. But anyways, the Mets. I can't remember the last time they were in the top five when it comes to power rankings. And overall, I give this offseason a solid B. They did do some good things. I like the addition of McCann. I like the Lindor Carrasco trade got me pumped. I do like Trevor May. I've heard good things, and I've heard good things about the reliever we picked up out of Tampa, Loop. I like the bench additions of Pilar and VR. The addition of Tawan Walker rounding out our rotation. So I got to look at what they projected our lineup to be, and it is Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, Francisco Lindor, Michael Conforto, Pete Alonso, Dom Smith, J.D. Davis, James McCann, and then we got the pitcher spot. I'm okay with the DH not being here in the National League this year. I'm used to National League Baseball having the pitcher bat for himself. I'm okay with that. And we got a couple guys that can handle the bat, and Jacob DeGrom, and whenever Noah Syndergaard comes back. So, but the rotation of itself of Jacob DeGrom, Carlos Carrasco, Marcus Stroman, Tawan Walker, David Peterson, that's a good rotation. I really like the rotation. I like the bench. Despite the fact that I have a little bit concerns about the catching depth behind James McCann, Nito's, and I know we picked up another catcher, a split contract who played his time in Baltimore, I think last year. I think his name's Caleb Joseph. I'm not 100% sure, but um, anyways, the lineup it looks fantastic despite my disappointment with George Springer. George Springer would have this offseason would have been an A plus for me if they signed George Springer. That's the only reason why it's not an A plus and why it's a B. That was the missed opportunity. Replace Nimmo with George Springer and you're looking at an A plus fantasy baseball caliber lineup. But then again, I thought about this too in the 2002 Mets. Everyone thought was a fantasy baseball juggernaut, and it wasn't. It was a complete and utter disaster. So maybe not playing the fantasy baseball route, you can't always do that, and I understand that. Although I'm still disappointed about Springer. I admit I always like the big names because I'm a New York fan, and I wanted the big name in George Springer especially after we made the Lindor trade. It is what it is. Springer's not here. He's in Toronto. The lineup's still pretty good, despite my previous videos about expressing disappointment and not getting George Springer. Um, Love the rotation. The two bullpen additions that were um, made could be good, but this is where I really want to get into it. Bench is solid, lineup is solid, rotation is solid, defense for the most part on the field should be okay. Bullpen scares me. We got some issues in this bullpen. Can we trust Edwin Diaz? I don't think we can. Not really sold on Edwin Diaz at all. I know he pitched better last year, but that was because there was no fans in the stands, and there were still a few games he blew that were inexcusable. And I am not. The reason why we didn't get Brad Hand, we didn't get Trevor Rosenthal, we didn't get Liam Hendricks is because we couldn't guarantee those guys would be the closer because we committed to Edwin Diaz because of that trade, which is looking worse and worse by the minute. That was a terrible trade. Van Wagenen was just not cut out to be a general manager. That was just not a very smart trade. But anyways, the bullpen scares me, and I really think Familia has been garbage since we've signed him. And with Lugo being out, we have to rely on him. We have to rely on Dellin Betances. Dellin Betances was awful last year. That guy couldn't throw a strike. Gesellman, Castro, really? I'm worried about the bullpen. I really hope they don't cost us the playoffs the way that they did in 2019. 2019 was the reason why we weren't a playoff team was because of the bullpen, and all other aspects of the team are fine. I don't like our bullpen. I really don't like it. I really hope Trevor May and Loop, the two guys we got brought in here, are going to do their jobs. But Diaz as a closer is too shaky. He's too shaky for my liking. And I really hope he did what he did in 2017 with Seattle, but I don't know if he will, or 2018 with Seattle, but I don't know if he will. Um, you know, Lugo being out until June, that worries me. That worries me, and the fact that we have to rely. Nobody was willing to take the contracts of Familia and Betances, and can you blame them? They're both terrible. They're both bums. So the fact that we have to rely on Dellin Betances and Jeris Familia, at least for a somewhat significant role until Lugo comes back. God, I hope Lugo isn't out that long. The bullpen scares me. I really hope the bullpen doesn't cost us. We should have gotten another arm in here, and I think we're playing with fire with this bullpen. I hope I'm wrong, and I want to be wrong, and I want to see that this bullpen's doing the job. But as of right now, that's clearly the Achilles heel, and that's the kryptonite of this New York Mets roster, and it has been for a while. The kryptonite of the 2021 New York Mets right now is the bullpen, and that's the Achilles heel. Can they figure out the bullpen, and can this bullpen get the job done? That's going to determine the fate of the 2021 New York Mets as to whether or not we'll be a playoff team. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. Hope everyone has a good weekend.